On our episode today, I have Scott Ohsman, the VP of Digital Commerce here at Quickfire. He's awesome. I love chatting with him. He's super smart. And every time we start talking, we go on for quite a while. So hopefully this one won't end up being very, very long, but we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much for being here, Scott. I love it.
Always a pleasure. Appreciate this is great having you on our show. Now, turn you guys got you. This is fantastic. I love it.
I mean, it's how it begins, and then the podcast mafia starts.
There
That's
you
how it
go.
goes.
And I always enjoy our conversations. I always learn something.
Well, let's give listeners the beginnings. So tell us about your background, who you are, how you got to where you are, and where you are today.
So 2025, I believe that's the year we're in. That marks it's coming up kind of the middle of the year. I will be in retail in some sort way, really working for manufacturers. This will be my 30th freaking year, Samir. 30 years.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
God, I feel so seasoned.
It means you get to watch the ebbs and flows of it. Manufacturing today is so different than manufacturing 30 years ago.
It is in some regards, it isn't. But yes, it's just I grew up basically as an independent multi-brand rep in the Northwest of the United States. Back then, we had hundreds and hundreds of independent retailers. I was lucky enough to be with some very big, awesome, amazing brands. My timing was good with JanSport backpacks and
that's cool.
late 90s, earlys. Then I got a big call up to North America, to the North Face in 2004. I basically started out calling on small guys, driving my car around, calling on little retailers, then bigger retailers. Then I worked my way up in key account management, basically, then got the big call up to North Face. And the Northwest is great because we had back in the day, it's less so now, but we had this great blend of every size, shape of retailer you could imagine, and every class of trade. We had run specialty, shoe specialty, outdoor specialty. We had bat and ball. We actually had sporting goods stores back then. Yeah. There were a lot. And then we had department stores. We had all these mid-tier, even regional-based department stores. So what I grew up is calling, because JanSport was a backpack and we sold to everybody. I got to sell. I learned all of these different types of channels and all these different things. So that's basically where I came from. And then in 2006, long story short, got to work for some big brands, which was awesome. North Face one, Columbia Sportswear was another one. That's cool. Basically, as a key account guy, we have huge key accounts out of here. So Costco's out of here, if you're not familiar with it. Nordstrom's is here. There's a pretty large, substantial retailer that does everything, kind of like a Meijer in the Northwest called Fred Meyer. It's owned by Kroger now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we had Emporium, we had department store, we had anything. So I'm calling all this stuff, and then basically went back into partner in an old manufacturer rep agency in the Northwest, and I'm about to land the plane here. So stay with me.
We're along for the ride.
So then Amazon comes to the world, and I kind of started in 2006-ish, 6, sorry. At Columbia, we started selling them wholesale, just like a normal retailer, to Amazon. And I started getting interested, and I was always a little bit nerdy. So computers and all that kind of stuff, tech was really interesting to me. So really it started in 2006, where we had our own agency. I was a partner with a guy, and we really started going, wow, this is really interesting. We should take some of our outdoor specialty brands that we represent, and what if we sold them directly to Amazon on what they call the first party side, Vendor Central.
Yeah.
And that's where it starts. And that's why I am where I am today in some many regards, is because I ran the Amazon train, created an Amazon agency within our agency, blah, 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 bought out my partner, blah, blah, blah. Nobody really cares. Merge, and sold, blah, blah, blah.
The standard agency life.
Yeah, the agency life. Tried to build a big agency, had a big dream. You and I have talked about this before, where I just might tip my cat, and my heart goes out to all agency owners of various types or whatever, because it's not easy, and it's really hard. And to be successful at it, to actually be profitable at it, is actually extraordinarily difficult. And then in 2020, I've been doing contract work for Quickfire with some Amazon stuff for some of their clients. And then I went and joined them in 2020. And what I loved about it is because here's the thing, Samir. I spent 20 years right in retail, and
Yeah.
then the Amazon thing came. So I'm coming up like on 19 years of that. What I missed, and I got kind of drove in. I was the Amazon guy. This is but when they're myself and like four other people were doing Amazon agencies. Like it just wasn't
Yeah.
a thing.
It wasn't a thing. It wasn't a
No, and
thing.
and it was all 1P. It was all first party. It was all vendor. And
Yeah.
I knew this whole 3P thing was happening, what have you. And I started to pay attention to that. But the truth is I became kind of an Amazon guy. And what I love about Quickfire now and getting back is because we do what you guys do, paid social, paid search, influence, we do all those other digital things. So I got to see how it all works
Yeah.
together.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think the reason why I love having these conversations with you is because you have such a unique perspective coming from that Amazon, first standpoint and being able to see that. And, you know, transparently, we're dealing with kind of Amazon eating everyone's lunch a little bit. And like, you know, it, I think the key piece of it is uh, consumer behavior evolves. I remember going into sporting stores and buying the first bat and glove, and
Yeah.
now with my son, there when I needed a bat, I went to Amazon and I ordered a bat. And in fact, thank God I went to Amazon because I realized that you're supposed to measure people before you buy bats, and like like it's just like things like that that unless I had talked to a sales rep at a sporting goods store, and so consumer behavior continues to shift, and we went into this world where everything was D2C for a while, and then people remembered I actually kind of like buying from Amazon because they lifted their logistics game and not everyone could keep up with it. And um, so I love having these conversations because you understand that journey and that consumer behavior shift. And I think you have a unique point of view on all of it. So my first question to you is what's going to happen with advertising and media in 2025?
Oh, nothing. It's just
I think
gonna
it's going to be exactly the same.
nothing. It won't change at all. No, it's the bot era,
Yeah.
Samir. It's the bots, and there's good bads and bad bots. There's good bots and bad bots.
Yeah.
And I think it's just connected. I think what's really interesting as far as media buying. So, and there's been a lot of work on this, and a lot of people smarter than me, but I think it's super interesting. There's some shifts happening as far as the way that programmatic has been set up, the challenge to the trade desk, the challenge when I'm talking about really major media buying and display. There's been some legacy players that have kind of owned it, right?
Yeah.
And then the big market has been not only full price, but the big market is low cost, basically excess inventory that you can buy at a
Hmm.
much better rate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, and that is continue. We've seen pressure on that over the last 2 or 3 years, but players like Amazon, retail media, and even the Walmarts and the biggest ones in the world, even if you look at, you kind of got to separate somewhat CPG and everything else, because in that world, right, you got Instacart, you got Kroger's, there's a
Yeah.
much better competitive set in that. If I separate that out, and if you look to just, you know, hard goods, we call it, or basic
Yeah.
consumer goods that are not consumable, it's kind of Amazon. And then it's like, it's
And it's everyone else. I know,
kind of
it's
everyone else. But I think it's
uh,
my point to that is on the bots and AI and all this other stuff, how people are buying media and how it's building is been set up for these programmatics for 100 years, right? These are big machines, lots of learning. And if we change how that is in media buying, and the sense of keywords and audience targeting and the privacy things, I think that's from media buying. I guess where I'm getting to is, are the bots going to make it more efficient? I think in some cases they are, but in a lot of cases, I think you're going to see continual strain on the profitability of media buying. And that's what people
yeah.
like you and I, our job is. And I think it's going to get, more challenging.
I think it's going to get more challenging. I would absolutely agree with you. I think the one thing that I'm excited about in it, though, is that the conversation has stopped being, okay, how much are we spending on Meta and Google? And now it's how much are we spending in Meta and Google? What's our CTV strategy look like? What's our programmatic strategy look like? How are we working with Amazon DSP? And in fact, a lot of our clients, you know, we talk to them and we'll remind them that for every dollar that you spend on your D2C ads, you're buoying Amazon as well. There is an Amazon halo. So for some of our
100%.
clients, we actually port in their Amazon data into and combine it with their D2C data so they can get a more holistic view of that. Uh, there was a whole conversation just recently around the incrementality of Amazon ads, right? Because it is no different than branded search. And if you are questioning your branded search, you should question your Amazon search campaigns too, right? Like they are one and the
100%.
same.
And that's in the PPC side of Amazon. It is changing dramatically. Even in the last
Yeah.
18 months, it has changed. I mean, dramatically from a structure point. There's basically no exact match anymore.
Yep.
Which is just in that you talk about the byproduct of programmatic and these agencies that set up the min max and the campaigns and the bid structures. Well, you're going to have to reset all of that. Somebody's going to have
Yeah.
to go in and rebuild it and remodel it because it's ineffective.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's you and I were just talking about this, and I was showing you what I was building with ChatGPT just before we got on the call. But like, that's the kind of I think the when we talk about what's changing in media buying, I think the core of it is not going to change, right?
No.
Building like running media to introduce your brand to people with good messaging that's compelling will always be the overarching thing. The
Okay.
question will
Well,
just be how do you execute on that?
okay. Let me ask you a question, Samir.
Well, let's do it.
Can we do that here?
Yeah, it's open.
I
That's
mean, it's
whatever
more of
we
a
want.
conversation.
Yeah.
I'm saying this from my Amazon point of view, okay? From my
Yeah.
and I'm completely obsessed with the live sports and how it's affecting
Oh,
me,
I love this.
right? I think over the next year, I don't know about this year, but it's going to be in the next 3 years. I think the inventory, the media buying inventory is going to change dramatically. What do you think?
Oh, I mean, I think it's already starting to change,
Okay.
right? Like I don't disagree with you at all, but I do think well, so here is the thing. I think depending on the size of your business, right? So let's talk enterprise. Programmatic ends up being a logistical tool at enterprise because having direct sponsorships with millions of publishers becomes really difficult.
Yeah.
If you're mid market, don't go programmatic. Go talk to your PR team, figure out your 5 top publishers, and just buy direct from them. Right? Like
Yeah.
that's where I think it is. That's so when I think inventory is shifting, I think that there is a lot of inventory, and uh, live sports is a key example of it. And you called it out. That's going to become high priority inventory. Inventory where my affiliate team is doing really well at, well, that becomes higher value, media inventory. Places I want my PR team to be, that becomes high value media inventory. So it becomes how do I prioritize that and then use the black box for everything else?
Yeah, you bring up affiliate. That's a whole nother rant. I mean, what is affiliate? I mean, somebody literally has to go to the internet and actually I think it needs a definition update. I've been around it for my whole. I don't even know what the hell it is,
I
Samir.
mean, I think my thing about it is affiliate and influencer with media sponsorships is like the single quickest way to create channel conflict. Period. That's like
Somebody's got to sort that out for me. I am not bright enough to understand what you have to define when you use that word for me.
yeah.
You got to break that down.
I mean, for us, the thing that we've started looking at for affiliate marketing, which is I, you know, I partner with a website that has a lot of traffic, or I mean, the perfect example is gift guides, right? Like you go and you think that I blew my wife's mind when I explained this to her. She was like, "Wait, what do you mean gift guides are paid for? That they're not altruistic?" And I'm like, "No, they're all paid for." So like when you look at a gift guide and you see, a recommended product, 9 out of 10 times it's recommended because somebody is paying to be there. You can pay in one of two ways. It can be a media sponsorship where a media agency like us will go and say, hey, $10,000 and we want to be on the top of the page. Or it's an affiliate play, which is the brand thinks that your website and your brand is so interesting, or the publisher thinks your brand is so interesting that if they feature you, people will click through and you will give them a percentage of the sale. The publisher makes a percentage of the sale, and that's why the brand ends up on the gift guide. Uh,
It's
I think all of
heartbreaking.
it,
It's
it all
heartbreaking.
sucks. the thing
Yeah.
that kills me is, and this is so we have a performance affiliate team that we've been building out, not for like your standard affiliate plays, but because we talk to all the publishers on the media side. So
Right.
why wouldn't I just go to them and say, "Hey, I will give you 5 grand and a lower affiliate commission and let you have a better bang for your buck," because that has ended up being a lot better. So there are these things. Channel conflict ends up becoming a problem, but then Amazon is a huge affiliate player too, and Amazon has a gigantic affiliate program.
They do. They do.
So
The way the world turns, yes, it's heartbreaking to be welcome to being seasoned, jaded, and skeptical about everything.
it kills me because I go and like I Google things. I'm like best gift for dads. I'm like, God, all these are paid. I don't trust any of these.
100%. But you see that on the morning shows, the network morning shows.
Yeah,
All of that stuff is completely. It's a junket. It's paid
it's.
for. It's good. I'm not
I
doubting
mean,
it. And we've had some clients that have a good win on those things.
yeah.
But there are agents and agencies and people going out looking for these things. They're getting a lot of money, and this is the way the world works.
I
Unfortunately,
mean, it is a brand
there's still
integration, right?
earned media.
Brand
There is still
integration.
some earned media, which means it's not paid for. There is. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot harder.
I
So,
mean,
so I will say,
shameful.
Scott. So to your point, though, there is a lot of earned media. I actually think the reason why advertising has like paid placements have grown is because not a lot of brands are doing enough interesting things to make enough news for earned media.
Probably so. There's not a lot
I,
of innovation going out,
yeah,
out there in some regards. But
and that's the thing. I would challenge brands to say, do something interesting, stand for something real, and it'll make your life a lot easier.
the other problem is, depending on enterprise, it costs a fortune. See, people don't
Yeah.
understand how much money it costs to actually get anywhere.
Yeah. 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 I had another conversation this morning just about that.
I mean, it takes an
And
enormous amount of money, and a lot of people look at other. Well, how do they do it? How do they do it? Well, it's usually taking them years, and it's taking them a lot of money.
yeah, oh, I mean, it is either time or money, right? It's like either it's going to take me a long time to do this, but if I want to speed that up, it's just going to cost me a lot. It's
Now,
one or the other.
shameful plug here. Do you mind?
No, go for it.
So the show that I invited you on, where we met, Always Off Brand, where I'm a co-host there. Okay, that little retail podcast.
One of my favorite podcasts.
I appreciate that so much. And this feed spot came out, and it said we were number 5 retail podcast. Okay,
You are number one in my book.
we
Just
didn't.
saying.
Thank you, but we didn't pay for that. But the point is, I don't know how that cockamamie algorithm. I'm very open about. It's like we don't have a zillion listeners. We're down by a big. What I'm saying is that was earned media, okay, that we didn't actually pay for. And the minute I posted, that was my first thing. This was not paid for. I don't know how it happened.
That is actually really fun. I have not even considered that before because that's true though. Like if you, I like, and now that my wife knows that gift guides are paid, there is not a single listicle she will look at without being like, God, this was all paid for.
Exactly. Everything's paid for.
I mean, so I think that is so you started this conversation around live sports, and I know that is a rant that you are excited to talk
Well,
about.
I don't even think it's scratched the surface about what we're going to do. And from the Amazon side, right, they're trying to democratize major display advertising.
Yep.
And their movement, and same, actually Netflix is making some huge bold moves here as well.
I saw just recently, right?
Yeah, so I think all of these guys, the competitors, it's the same thing we've lived through. And I mean, you're a lot younger than me, but you've seen it in your time is what you came from and started query and everything else. There's just the disruption opportunity to do things better, faster, more efficiently, and to evolve with the consumer. There's about to be some tidal waves going on, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
I mean, I 100% agree with you across all of it, right? Like, I think I like to think about life as a sine wave. So you've got your highs and lows and highs and lows and highs and lows. And I think I would say marketing and business is similar. And you have disruption, you have expansion, contraction. And it is this like sine wave. And I think years ago the sine wave was lower and further. So it took longer to disrupt both up and down, up and down. And I think in the last 10 years, that has become shorter and higher. And so we see huge headwinds, huge tailwinds, huge headwinds, huge tailwinds. And it's what's happening now with programmatic, right? Amazon DSP and Trade Desk are about to go head to head in one of the biggest ways possible, right? But then, we do a review internally and are looking at all of our costs and where we're buying media from and say, all right, well, Trade Desk has some deals with X, Y, and Z publishers, and this other programmatic partner has deals with X, Y, and Z publisher, and well, maybe I should be running on both. Like maybe I should be running on three.
But
And it's like, at what point does it become a logistics problem versus a media buying problem?
okay, well, that's an interesting. Again, we are so off script here.
I mean, we had questions and that we have answered none of them.
Hey,
And it's fine.
does this circle back as far as this arms race, so to speak, between Amazon and all these people, right? And the big wave of retail media networks. To me, this starts and ends with first party data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where does that fit with the trade desk and where does it fit with the publishers, right? Because the selling point of Amazon is listen, we got more first party data and we haven't even deployed half of it, right? And we're constantly getting new because we own so much content. Where is
I
the
mean,
value there?
that
You
is
pay
why
more for that?
I mean, that's literally why Amazon DSP is doing so well, right? Because but like Amazon DSP is doing well because they have two tiers of first party data. They have brand awareness tier, which is your live sports, your Twitch, your Amazon Prime, and their entire display network, right? Because they're collecting so much data at that level. But then they have conversion tier data too in Amazon Search and Amazon Display and Amazon.com proper. So not only do they know, okay, this is so when I want to buy a backpack, the person that buys a backpack also watches these shows, right? So now I can go to Amazon DSP and be like, I want a full funnel campaign, top to bottom. Trade Desk's data and most of the programmatic display data is coming from second party, right? Like it's not their, they don't own the data, it's not theirs. They are licensing it and getting it, so they still have access to it, but they have to do a bigger job of really understanding the data because they don't own the ecosystem on which it lives on, and that makes a huge difference.
Because still, and people are getting, chipping away at it. But to your point, what you just described is what has threatened everything, and I think is fascinating, is Amazon's ability to basically collapse the funnel. What you just described
Yeah.
is I can take the top and collapse it down into conversion. And
Yeah.
and by the way, just so we're, if I'm showing off, I can actually track it and show you and measure it and return to you a but much higher likely actual accurate measurement of it than you had from all these other legacy places and all these other publishers, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. And the thing that will be interesting is how much do they allow other people to access that data for other things, right? Like, at what
Yes.
point does it go from I want to sell more on Amazon to Amazon DSP is a business unit of its own, and it is like a separate entity and acts different. Like, so
I mean, it's not
when and
technically.
where does it
I just want to make
decouple?
sure it's not broken out on their earnings report as separate.
Yes.
I get your point.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like, at what point does it stop being? No, they don't want it. Like the data is too valuable, right? And the data is so valuable as long as it leads, and especially when it leads to a sale on Amazon too.
Yeah, I think there's two separate things, right? If you That's why the non-enigmatic, that the Hyundais and the
Yeah.
service sects, that's why they're going after that so hard. First of all, huge dollars.
Yeah.
Insurance companies, these are massive dollars. Are they going to provide? Are they going to give you their data? Now, in the last 3 years, from an advertising set, they've actually given you more and more data, internal data.
Yeah.
I'm just old and jaded, just like your wife is now, about buying gifts on gift guides. And I question the data a little bit. I
I
just
know
take it a
that's
little
not
off.
fair.
I don't take it just for face value, but still directionally, they've offered more and more. So I think the way they're going to get and infiltrate and try and basically take some market share away from these other major publishers is they're going to come at it with like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to offer you, because I not only am I can see what they like, see what they search, I can tell you what they've bought.
I mean, it is really interesting in that um, Amazon has created a world where they are the content creator, the conversion vehicle, and the advertising network, right?
That's
And then they're adding on the social element with like influencer marketing
that's
and
been a
etc.
struggle. That's been a struggle.
Yeah.
That's why, I mean, I was joking but not joking. I know the recent whole TikTok thing, but like even 3 years ago, well, I mean, Walmart tried to buy TikTok, and then Microsoft tried to there's been multiple people trying to. This is back in 2017, 2021. But I was
Yeah.
just like, God, Amazon, you can't get the social commerce thing going. So just buy TikTok and put us out of our
I know.
misery.
Well, they tried with Twitch, right? Like
They
Twitch was
try,
their
right.
first foray into it. And so, I mean, I will be interested to see kind of how it plays out. But the part for me, because again, we work with a lot of consumer brands on Amazon, off Amazon, in retail, wholesale, kind of, the gamut. The amount of brands that want to be on Amazon don't want to be whole, like risk management means that you can't be wholly managed by Amazon because you still need to own your own data and you still need to understand your customer and you still need to have like the D2C world gave all these brands an opportunity to actually understand who their customer is and improve their product build and their brand building and all of that gets lost when you're just on Amazon.
Totally.
I don't think enough brands think about it that way or don't value that enough,
Well,
right?
they don't. So are they, I guess, they don't know how to leverage their own first party data, because that's basically what they've gained over the last
Yeah, I
five
think
years.
that's exactly it. I think that they don't. So one, I don't know that they know how to leverage their own first party data. I don't think they know how to engage with their I think that there's like first party data for media, and that's fine, right? Like I connected Klaviyo with Meta, and like we're good to go, right? But then there's like, I engaged my first party data. I have a really strong email SMS program. I have a really strong loyalty program. I have a voice of the customer committee where our VIPs are coming in and telling us what they like about our products, right? Like all of that is stuff that needs to be done. Like SaaS platforms do this so well because they understand that they need to do this. But for whatever reason, consumer brands are just like, I know what's best for my customer and I'm going to continue doing what I do best. And it's, they're not taking advantage of it. And then it doesn't show up on a P&L. So everyone's like, oh, D2C is not working.
That couldn't be more true. And they need to talk to these major retailers that are also like, I always look at a Macy's, or Macy's is just such a classic example. But remember, Macy's been collecting credit card information and
Yeah.
basically deep personal behavior and purchasing and all kinds of other information for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And what have they done with it?
No, I mean, nothing. Nothing.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. Yeah. And it is one of those things where like managing through change is so hard.
You
Because I
got to
mean,
adapt or die, man.
yeah, to bring it back full circle, like media is in a pivotal moment right now. And I'm going to do a shameless plug now, but for brands that need an agency, you need an agency to help you through the pivotal moment. So if your agency is just like, "Hey, yeah, we're hitting our goals, we're feeling good," like great, 15-minute phone call. No, it's okay, we hit our goals, we're doing great. Here are the things I'm nervous about in the next 6 months. TikTok's going to go away again. We'll need to figure out where to redeploy those dollars. Media CPMs are increasing. New rules and regulations on Meta. Google search is losing to ChatGPT. What do we want to do about that? How do we want to think about AI search? All of those things are things that you need to be thinking about now. Otherwise, you're going to be solving for it after people have already figured it out.
It comes down to supply and demand, as everything does. And to me, Samir, is you need somebody who understands. We always talk about inventory, right?
Yeah.
We talk about, we're both on the same page. We think the inventory is shifting. It's already shifting.
Yeah.
It's going to shift even more. So you better have the people on your team who understand and have their eye around the corner to see where the most cost-effective inventory is going to be for your brand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And you can't do it by yourself because the landscape is changing so massively. There's no way for you to consume it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and it's
call
simple
Query,
as
call Samir right now. Let's get it done.
I mean, I think the hard part is that a lot of agencies think about it from the tactics first. It's like, I want to, oh man. All right, now I'm starting on a rant, and this is the problem. I hang out with you, Scott, and we
That's
both.
fine. This is your show.
It just goes.
I'm
It just goes.
here
It
when
just
your
goes.
show, Samir. This is your ball game.
I get so frustrated when I'm on LinkedIn and I see growth hack 1 and growth hack 2, and like
garbage.
We made millions with growth. I'm like, you want to know what the number one growth hack is? Just know your customer. How do they purchase from you? How long does it take them to purchase from you? Who influences them? That.
Okay. I will take this conversation, which again, if anybody listens to this, I don't know what you've gained, but all of these changes and all this shiny things and the AI and all the bad bots, good bot, all this other garbage that's going on. The truth is, know your customer, but it's basically what's still working on, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google, Meta, is fundamentals. And you and I kind of bonded over this in our first meeting of the fact that the rules of digital advertising still apply. Period. Yeah. Fundamentals, time, patience, understand digital math, and it's going to work out for you.
Yeah. 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 I think that's a perfect close to this episode, of which I had 8 questions and we got through about half of one. So
I tried to speed up like my life story.
I loved it. I mean, I think that was important. We got to where do you think advertising and media buying is going, and then that went where it needed to go. So
you know where it's going. You know where it's going. It's going to live sports. That's where it's going, Samir.
I think it is. I think live sports. I mean, the Super Bowl will be, and we are taping this at the beginning of or the end of January, just before the Super Bowl, and I am very excited to see the Super Bowl stats once this is done, and I think that is going to be the canary in the coal mine for a bunch of people. So, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. If someone wants to find you online, wants to follow you, listen to your podcast, which they should be doing, where can they go find out more?
Just try me on the linky, LinkedIn. That's what I call it, on the linky.
And I'll include everything in the show notes, but thank you again so much, man.
Great. Thanks for having me on, man. Always good.